What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the OMG It's Derek podcast. Once again, joined by my beautiful, sexy co-host, Mr. Codations. Look at that, dude. It looks like you just shaved that beard just for this podcast.
2 days ago, baby. 2 days ago.
Oh my gosh, it looks fresh, dude.
Oh yeah.
We are also joined by the one and only Metal for Breakfast, aka Jason. What's going on, Jason? How are you guys doing?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad, man.
Awesome. How are you doing, Cody? How's life treating you?
Oh man, I'm doing fantastic. You know, living the life as a dad with a 1-year-old is the best. So
yeah. Is he officially one now?
Dude, he's officially 1 year and almost 2 months.
In 2 months.
So yeah, man. Yep.
Yeah, mine just turned 2 about a month and a month ago. And we are definitely, it was like a light switch turned on. Metal, I don't think you have kids yet.
Nope.
So forgive us for the dad talk for a minute, but it was like a light switch flipping. And I was like, oh, this is Terrible Twos now. Like I see, like, okay, he has an attitude now. He's starting to back talk. Like, okay, this is fun.
Maybe that's why they call it attitude.
Yeah, probably. Play on words. Oh yeah. No, we're not there. We're not there yet. He's going to the stage right now where he can't decide. He can't decide if he wants to be attached to you, the entire time, just can't separate whatsoever, or he wants to be full on independent and you can't hold him anywhere, including the doctor's office, wherever you go. He's just crawling all over everything and walking everywhere. So that's kind of the stage, the weird stage we're at transitioning.
Yeah, enjoy it, because I did not think we would have Terrible Twos with my son, and then the devil came out, and I said, okay, it happens to everybody.
Light switch flips on.
Doesn't matter how good of a parent you think you are.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Your kid will go through Terrible Twos. Probably.
Oh, yeah.
There's probably lots that don't, and people are right now like, no, my kid's perfect. He's a goddamn angel.
Probably.
Fuck you, motherfucker.
Exactly. Get out of here. That's funny.
All right, so enough dad talk. Diving in with Metal for Breakfast. I've been following Metal for Breakfast for quite some time. I believe I originally ran into you, Metal, actually through Cody Warner. I believe you were probably watching his vlogs like I was. Probably enjoying them, at least I'm assuming. I'm making some assumptions here, but I think where I actually first started seeing you around and seeing your own content being published was in a Facebook group that Cody Warner runs called No Small Creator. Is that how I found you? Were you posting in there originally, or
most likely, yeah.
I think so. And I remember when I first found you, I don't remember much, to be honest, in terms of your content. The first thing I remember you doing that caught my eye was when you did the short, How to Sit. I think that was probably your first. I don't know if that was your first viral video. So I guess that would be my first question is kind of give us a little bit of backstory and how you got started in content creation. Was that around the time when you started watching Cody? Is that what kind of got you into YouTube? Were you already doing content? And kind of, just give us a start and a point of where you started with this whole thing at.
So I actually started like my first foray into like making any kind of content was the classic Casey Neistat story, where he's watching the Casey Neistat vlogs and it's like, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. I could do that, right? So okay. I started out, I bought this little, I think it's over there somewhere. It's just this little cheap camera. And I was like, all right, let's try this. And I was like doing these vlogs here and there. And yeah, I don't know. Over time, I think I've kind of realized that like it's extremely hard to make any kind of engaging content around your daily life. Right? You really have to you either have to have like some really good insights into how to make everyday things fun, or you have to have a baller life.
Yeah, I was gonna say right? A ton of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of like, I started going down this path of more like, well, I could create stories around a life that, I don't know, I don't really live, but it's a story, people love stories, right?
Right.
So I kind of like started to incorporate that kind of thing into all of my content, where it's like it doesn't have to just be about like, oh, I'm drinking my coffee, I'm going like to this store or something, you know. It can be any kind of idea.
Right. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah, actually, I do think I remember some of your early vlogs. I think and this might, I mean, for you, you made it, so to probably jog the memory, but hopefully I'm not getting it wrong. But I think you had one where you like had the camera like in a bush and you walked up to the bush and you're like, oh, hey guys. And you grabbed the camera out of the bush. And I was just dying laughing. I'm like, what the heck? So I did see some of your earlier content. I think that was when you were trying the vlog and stuff, or it might have even been after. But it's funny that you mentioned Casey Neistat, because I listened to a podcast he did today with you got, do you know who? I'm sure you do, because I know you like comedy. Bert Kreischer, however you say his name. Do you know who that is?
No.
He is a comedian. He tells the story where he was over in like Russia. What do they call him? Do you know who he is, Codations?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. They call him the machine.
The machine.
The machine,
you never heard that story, Metal?
No.
Dude, it's hilarious.
Okay.
You got to watch it after this podcast. You got to watch it.
Everybody pause this podcast, say fuck it to all of us, and go watch them tell the story of the machine.
For sure.
Because it is the funniest fucking thing in the world. But anyways, nonetheless, Casey Neistat did a podcast with him in the last couple of days, and I was watching it today. It was like an hour and a half, and he was actually talking about in his vlogs how much, like he said, like he wasn't actually, like for example, he wasn't actually into electric skateboards, like the boosted board. He just knew it would get him views. So, and it was funny, like I've never heard him talk so openly about how much of his content was very, like he said, even all of the words said in the vlogs were completely planned out. Like none of it was actually ad lib at all. None of it was actually made up on the spot. It was the entire vlogs, even though they seemed very unscripted, were completely 100% scripted. And I don't know why. Like, I mean, I know people do that stuff, but it shocked the fuck out of me that Casey Neistat did that, because they just feel so raw, his vlogs. But and it was funny just to hear that even things like the boosted board and stuff, he literally did it just kind of as you were saying, like it's like, oh, you know, I could do my life and vlog that, or I can kind of do this made up fake life. And I just never realized how much of Casey's up until today, I don't want to say was fake, but he was doing it because he knew it would perform better than not doing it.
Yeah, it's production. Yeah, he's doing more production and work instead of just, like you said, raw. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and it was just, like I said, it was just shocking to me because of what you expect the vlog to be, I guess. Because I, like you, Meadow, I also started in vlogs. You know, I was watching Casey Neistat. That was the first person I ran into, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is the best thing ever. I'm in love with this content. I need to make this content. And that's what got me started, because I used to do video back in the day, like tutorials and stuff on in a whole different niche called affiliate marketing. And I got away from it, quit making videos, quit doing photography, all that stuff. And it's actually what brought me back into all of that realm of creating content on the internet, was those vlogs, which again, I think is, as you said, is the case for a lot of people. I think a lot of us got our start there. All right. So you're watching Casey vlogs, you start making vlogs yourself. You start realizing, okay, the vlogs are, you know, my life's maybe not that interesting, or, you know, at least you don't feel that way. You know, you're like, I can fake it. So, but then your content starts to morph, because I saw where you started putting just, I guess I want to call them comedy videos online, or because I even remember when you did a series with a friend during the whole subscribe to PewDiePie era, when he was going against what were they called? T-series. So is that what made you switch to that? Like, kind of walk me through. So you got tired of vlogs. What was the next evolution for you in that then?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like, so it's interesting because like with YouTube, like the thing with YouTube is that it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. Like the fact that you have to, like, there's like this challenge put before you every time you make a video where, okay, you have a 10-minute block of time, okay? And your challenge is to fill that block with things that you film with this camera and that are going to keep someone watching for that whole 10 minutes, right? So it's kind of like that whole, like, you know, blank page for an artist or writer where it's like, where do I start, right? And I kind of felt that a lot with, like, I started feeling that a lot with just my regular life, you know, because it's like, it's like no matter how much we want to, not every single day is going to be this extraordinary, like monumental day that someone's going to want to like sit there and watch for 10 minutes. So
Right.
like that kind of gave me the idea of like, okay, well, I feel like I'm not the best like entertaining blogger or vlogger, but then I realized, okay, I could just capitalize on that and be the worst vlogger, right? And so that kind of bled
Fair
into
enough.
like, well, why don't I just like emphasize these errors that I'm doing, or this like awkwardness, or like, you know, something weird like the camera in the bush. Like, why would my camera be in the bush type of thing, right?
Right.
So I kind of figured out a way to like play on my weaknesses, I guess.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes
Mhm.
sense. Um, have you always found it difficult? Because you know, you mentioned that you found it, you know, it's like starting at that blank page, and have you always found it hard just to get started? Like once you have a video idea and you're rolling, is it like then 100 times easier for you? Is it normally that starting point that holds you up?
Yeah, it definitely is, especially with like the amount of like production that goes into like making like one of those comedy vlogs. Is like, it's just like Casey Neistat, where like pretty much everything is written out and planned and coordinated. So it's more of like it's more of like creating like a short film type of thing versus like turning on the camera and vlogging, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
makes sense.
having eh, like kind of over time knowing how much work is ahead of you to make this one video does make it like harder to like start the next one.
Okay.
and
So it's
then
not so much of a lack of idea as it is of just, you know, how much I don't know if I want to call it perfectionism. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just,
Mhm.
but is it like you just know how much work it's going to take you to do because of what you want it to be that's holding you up? Or is it even coming up with the idea?
It's definitely both, because like because you even to get that idea that you can play off of for like an everyday situation is like a thinking game in and of itself, right? Because you have to have something that is, it can be mundane, but then you have to have the spin on it where you can make it entertaining. So like, yeah, like I can't even think of anything right now, but like
God damn it, that's your problem. See?
yeah.
No, I get what you're saying 100%. I'm just, you
Mhm.
know, just trying to clarify exactly what point of it that you struggle with or whatever, because I think it could. So then my next question would be, because obviously I'm always thinking like, oh, how can we help other people that are going through this stuff? That's me and Codations are always big on trying to share and be open and honest about that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So what have you found to like, I know you know, your YouTube channel, I think you got what, like 35,000-ish subs.
Dude, I have probably okay, I have probably like 2,000 subscribers from my vlogs, and then like 37,000 from me rolling in a chair.
Okay, right, from that chair video.
Yeah.
So they're not actually watching necessarily a lot of your other content.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like I'm kind of at a point now where it's like, okay, well, it's like if I'm being truthful, it's like, okay, the vlogs are a lot of work. Like 10 minutes is a lot of time for my brain to fill in. Like
Mhm.
TikTok was a lot easier because like the way my head works is very short span. Like I've always just like jumped to the punchline,
Mhm.
like, and just focused on the punchline in my head. And
Fair
YouTube
enough.
doesn't allow that. Like you have to like build up to a punchline, and then you know. But TikTok kind of like allowed me to just like cut out that forced 10-minute like video and I can just do like 10 seconds, 20 seconds of a video.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was heading with this kind of setup. Was I was gonna see, you're already jumping straight to the punchline. God damn it, Metal. I'm segueing over to, did you find it? Did you find it? Is that why you found it easier to transition to TikTok? You're like, oh yeah, I went to TikTok.
Yeah,
All right,
just jump
whatever.
right there.
I see why. I see. No, I'm just kidding. But for real, I was gonna ask. So, is that why you kind of started going to more short-term content and short-form content? Was because of those issues, like you said, of just that insurmountable amount of work to make this 10-minute piece? You found it much easier to spend that time, and not only probably spend that time, but feel like you were getting a return on your time invested in terms of your views outputted, in the form of TikTok. Yeah,
man. It's like, if I'm being honest, YouTube just completely wrecked me. Like, I was in the same position, like back, when the Cody Wanner days, and like there was all the talk of burnout and all these burnout videos coming. But like having kept up with that like cycle that YouTube wants you to keep up with for so long, like I literally got to a point where I crashed. All of my ideas just dropped. All of my motivation dropped. It was just zero. Like I had no ideas coming in, no motivation to do it, because like the return that you're going to get from YouTube is basically nothing, right? Like right. 1 out of every 100 videos might make you, like, I don't know, you'll get that video that really like clicks, right? But that's not even the end of it, because then you have to do it again and again and again until you reach that like compounding like growth spurt. And then that's where the promised land is, where, okay, now you're living off of YouTube, and like you're a YouTuber, right? Mm-hmm. But it yeah, I think just the sheer amount of like effort that needed to be put in, I think like really just burnt me out. And then when TikTok came around, it was like, hey, this is just all based on fun. And hey, people don't even like respond well to like overproduced videos. They want things that are just like raw and funny and fun, and it doesn't have to make sense whatsoever.
Speaking of don't make sense, I'll let Codations chime in on this one, because he said, how does this chair video have many millions of views?
There it is. That's the chair.
That's the chair.
It is the chair. It is the chair. Hey, did you take a picture of that and turn it into an NFT yet?
Holy shit, I should.
Hey, we need to cut that out so nobody else does that before him. No, so for me, so I mean, a little bit about myself really quick. So like, I don't know if you know anything about, or if you looked up anything prior to this podcast, but so I'm a mobile gaming content creator. So I'm kind of like in a completely different, realm between you guys. I'm not a vlogger or anything like that. And I've kind of, and my personality for getting into YouTube originally, I didn't even know Casey Neistat prior to getting into YouTube, see him on anything. I didn't know Peter McKinnon, nothing like that prior. Mm-hmm. I actually got into doing it because I had friends that have been doing mobile gaming content creation for 4+ years. And in 4 years, they went from, no subscribers to like 150,000 subs, and just doing guides and tutorials and let's plays and things like that with games. And I'm a huge gamer. So I've been, gaming my entire life. So I thought, dude, I'm playing these exact same games these other guys are. It's like, why, like I should easily, and I'm super social, like, I'm easy to talk to people. I'm like, why am I not just turning a camera on? So COVID gave me that ability to do that. I work a 40-hour job outside my home, and COVID hit, boom, started making YouTube videos on the side on the games I was playing. So that gives you a little bit of a realm on my back end. But so
and just to give credit too, because in a year you've gone from 0 to what do you got, like 8,000 subs now on YouTube?
It's 8,500, so I'm about to get close to 9,000. So
and so he's grown pretty quick. He's learning really quick and doing really, really well with it. So and I guess what I was trying to wrap this back around to, Jason, was for me,
I've looked at YouTube differently. I looked at YouTube as like hardcore. How can I grow the fastest? You know what I mean? And then I'm looking at all these bigger channels, you know what I mean, in my niche per se. By the way, I just watched your video talking about like not having to be in a specific niche. I absolutely love it, dude. It speaks volumes. But so anyways, but like I was saying, so my whole goal for YouTube has been like, my only time, all my free time is taken up of me looking at other people's content in my niche and how can I achieve that? I look at a video and I'm like, this person's channel's got 5,000 subs, but they just, popped off a gaming video that's 30,000, boom, what do they do? I'm constantly analyzing all of that, doing all those analytical stuff and research. And so Derek showed me your chair video, right, one day. And this is like a couple weeks ago. And he showed me this chair video and I was like, and when I saw it, the first thing that I couldn't understand was I didn't understand what the hell the video was about. Like I literally watched the video and I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, okay, so this guy that looks up a wiki on like how to sit in a chair. And I'm like, I don't understand this shit. So then like, I literally called Derek, I call him D, but I literally called him and I'm like, dude, like the fuck is this chair video? And why does it have 30 something or however many, views it had at that time? I'm like 30,000 views. I'm like, how the hell does this chair video have this amount of views? Like, I don't even understand the video. Like, so again, that's just analytical. I'm not talking down your content, don't take any offense to it. I just 100% was like I said, you can ask Derek, man, how many times, dude, do I freaking talk to you? Like, I mean, a week, in a month. I mean, I'm constantly freaking out, dude. I'm the guy 100% in that video that you just talked about. Like I said, I watched about niching down and all this shit. Like that's all I've done my entire time on YouTube. For my first year, I was like hardcore worried every single second. I'm like, dude, I'm like checking out my, the studio app. I'm like, my freaking, my, what is it called? CPM. I mean, it just went down by like 20 cents. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, all my subs are growing up, but my revenue's going down. It's like, oh man, dude, yeah.
And
dude, I ride that roller coaster every day, man.
And just for everyone listening, can you, either one of you, I mean, you might have it more fresh in your head, Codations, but Jason did make it, so if he still remembers it really well, can you just kind of give a quick kind of cap of what video you're talking about, just for the audience?
You talking about me or him?
Either one of you, whoever wants to take it.
Yeah, it was just I can let Jason finish it up, but it was just the one that I'm referring to, the one that you were specifically like, cameras, all like this, like all the way up in your face, and you're like this, talking to the camera in a garage or something. But no, I mean, it was just, you had a really, really good message in there talking, to content creators in general on YouTube. And you're basically saying that you were quitting, you know what I mean? That you were done, not done with creating content, that wasn't the message, but it was, you were done following this, routine or fake, pattern of what you need to be on YouTube. And instead you were looking to create your own content on what you wanted. So,
yeah. Yeah. Cause that same thing that you're experiencing was like, it felt like when you first enter like the funnel, right? You have all the room in the world because you don't know any of the rules that you're told to follow to, in the end, make money, right? It all becomes about it like the funnel that you go down, it makes it about money, fame, like following, right? And all those things as they come together and you walk down this funnel of YouTube just sucks the life out of like anything that you make, right? Because it's no longer about what you want to make. It's like, well, that's outside of the funnel. Let's go back, right? And it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like, it's just very, like the effects of it, like I still feel to this day of like the burnout, It's like I haven't even made a TikTok video in a while because that feeling still of like, this isn't good enough. Like, that's not worth posting. That kind of thing isn't like ingrained in me from like following that YouTube path, even for such a short time, because you have to go at it so hard to even have a chance at making it that it becomes like a habit, right? Just having to go through that process for every single video of basically draining yourself of your creativity was just, I just couldn't do it anymore. There was just nothing left. So I decided, well, I mean, what's the worst case scenario if I just decide to make whatever I want to make and not care about like the impact, you know.
Right. Yeah. And that's, and like I said, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, that's what that's kind of like what I meant by when you said it speaks volumes, you know, for me personally, it's not so much, you know, the niche as in, you know, mobile gaming, right. Or gaming in general, right. Like it wasn't trying to make content outside of that, because that's not what I wanted to do or what I want to do. For me, my struggle is, you know, what are my goals? I mean, like, am I strictly only making content on my channel to just make money? You know what I mean? Is that my goal? Because if that is the case, then, you know, my content would be strategically different. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It would be planned out, specifically designed for, like you're saying, what's better, what's going to hit the best, all that other stuff. Or, you know what I mean? Like, am I wanting to build a community? Do you know what I mean? You know, do I want to build up a closer niche audience? I mean, you know, that's going to support anything I put out there. Same thing goes with, you know, do I only play mobile games? You know, I've been on the platform, you know, YouTube for a year. Sure, I've grown exponentially. I'm more than happy with my growth, but there's so many times, dude, where a PC game will come out. You know, Valheim was one with Derek, you know, that came out. I was literally we were on the game, like what, day 2 of it launching. I mean, you know, or day 1, we were enjoying the game. I wanted nothing more but to create content. I was right there, you know, and I had a couple friends that started making content, blew up, you know what I mean? 30, 40,000, you know, on a game. And like, I wanted to be that person, but I was absolutely scared, you know, that same feeling, that I just felt like it doesn't fit my niche. It doesn't fit my channel. You know what I mean? Like, I'm mobile gaming. What's going to happen if I introduce Valheim to my channel? You know what I mean? All these mobile gaming subscribers are just going to unsubscribe tomorrow, and my channel is going to completely fall to the ground, which isn't even true whatsoever. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah. I mean, it's dealing with that same feeling 100%.
Yeah. Cause like, it's like when you follow that path of like the, you know, the niching down, like I think that niching down is good to a point, right? But I think like the whole narrative of like keep niching down is what like kills it eventually. And like I feel like that mindset basically turns a YouTube channel into like this trophy, right? Where now if like, oh, I have something really cool that I want to post, but it's no trophy, so it can't go in there, right?
Yep.
And your trophy gets bigger and more polished, and it's like, well, I have something really cool here, but it's like, it's nothing compared to like this trophy, so I'm just gonna, you know. So it kind of like, it just continuously limits like what you can do, to the point where, I mean,
you're strategically making content that only fits that realm. Do you know what I mean? And like you said, then I've already had nights like that, man, where I'm playing a mobile game and I feel like, you know what I mean, there's nothing for me to do, but I also have that trophy sitting behind me where it's like, but I have to post something, like something's got to go on the channel. You know what I mean? So then, you know, Derek, what's my choices? You know what I mean? I've asked you this a bazillion times. I'm always reaching out to you. I'm like, dude, like, what if I don't post on the channel tonight, man? Like I've got to post something like right now, you know, it's been 24 hours or whatever, you know? And he's like, do you have something to post? I'm like, no. And he's like, then don't post. It's not a big deal. Like, you're fine. I'm like, but it's not, I've got to keep on doing it. Like, you know, yeah, it's tough, man. We've talked about this stuff before on the podcast. You know, me and Derek had full conversations of, you know, the dark side of content creation was one of our last episodes. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. What were you going to say earlier, D?
I was just going to say, I actually don't struggle with this like you two. And I think you know that from talking to me creations. So I have a hard time relating with it. Only because, and I'm, admittedly, it's probably slowed my growth. I mean, I am not I think I've been doing YouTube for however long you've been doing it. Metal is how long I've probably been doing it. So however long that's been, I think I have like, 3,500 subs, somewhere around there. I don't have a lot of TikTok followers. I don't have a lot of podcast listeners. I don't have a lot, but part of the reason is I just do whatever the fuck I want. I'm like, oh, I want to have MetalForBreakfast on my podcast. That's who I'm going to send a message to and be like, yo, dude, you want to come on my podcast? Oh, I want to play this game. Like, I'm going to play that game. My chat's like on my stream on Twitch and stuff. They're like, we like this game. I'm like, fuck you guys. I don't give a fuck. Like, I like this game.
Yeah, but he's not joking though. That's literally what he does. He tells him he'll have 5 people, like literally 5 or 4 people watching him live play a game, and then all of a sudden they're like, "D, did you check out this other game? Blah blah blah. Like, dude, we should totally check it out." And he's like, "No, I'm not checking it out." And then they keep on harping on it. Finally, he's like, "Hey, just get the fuck out of my stream. Like, I'm playing this game right now." Like, he does not care. Like, but that's what I've always admired by you, man.
Yeah,
that's what I told you, dude.
That's like a great that's the place to live in. Like it's great that you're naturally just exist in that space, right? Because that's like the opposite end of the spectrum, right?
I was gonna say the problem is I think the truth is it's probably somewhere in the middle, because my mental might be good that way, but my bank account is not as good that way, because I am not raking in the big bucks doing it that way.
Right.
Again, you know, I don't know, man. When it comes to, like I said, man, I spent so much freaking time, dude, looking at this shit, you know, looking at research and analytics and stuff. And like, you're right. I mean, you know, you're 100% right, D. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah. I mean, if you're looking to grow revenue, there probably is room. I mean, to build a little bit, on that aspect of, not what so much the viewer wants. Do you know what I mean? But you do, you might have to cater a little bit, in the sense of that regard. But that's not what you want. You know what I mean? We've had numerous conversations, where you're just like, that's not what I want. I mean, it's like, I just want to create content, I want to grow an awesome community, you know what I mean? And you just want to do what you want to do. And I 100% respect that. I mean, that's day one, dude. I stumbled across your, what was it? A tutorial video, I think, on something, OBS tutorial or a product tutorial or something. Probably. I stumbled across it, left a comment on his video, and we've been like best friends ever since. You know what I mean? Like, I've tuned into his live streams and I'm like, dude, this guy, like, he says he's a tutorial channel. He makes like OBS and streaming tutorials. And I'm like, but he's playing Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, this has nothing to do with tutorials. Like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden, then it turns into what? Then like the next video, you're talking about like, oh yeah, dude, here's some gameplay highlights from this one game that I played this one time with me and my wife, or me and my kid. And then you watch it and you're laughing. You're like, oh, this is cool. He's a gaming channel. And then like the next video that comes out the next day is like, oh, dude, I just got like this sponsored, like product from this company. They wanted me to test out this mic. So I'm going to test out the mic today. And I'm like, the fuck is this guy doing? Like, he just does whatever he wants to do. But that's that's the beauty of it, man. I wish I can just have some of that. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could just like take some of it, I don't want it all. I don't want to have, just a open channel. Like, maybe that's the best way to go mentally, but like, I don't want all that, but I do want some of those balls, man. I just want to be able to just get on my live stream and be like, nah, man, we're playing this game today. And they're like, but you've been covering this one game for months. And it's like, yeah, I know. And I'm playing this Marvel game because that's what I want to do, man. Like, like, I wish I could do that. And it's not that I can, it's just, that mindset. Yeah,
like I said, I think it's somewhere in the middle, honestly. I mean, if you want to make a career out of your content creation, it's probably somewhere in the middle. You have to do things that, are going to grow your audience, that are going to, bring people value, whether that's through entertainment or tutorials or however you do that best. But I do think you do sometimes, as Metal was saying, and as you're saying, sometimes you do just got to say, fuck it, this one's for me. I've made this comment several times, and I don't know, Metal, if you probably know her as well. And I don't mean know her personally, but I just mean from YouTube. Sarah Dici, rhymes with Peachy. She always has the expression she says, which is one, like the way she handled this whole dilemma that we're talking about. And I've said it several times. It's one of my favorite, was just, one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me. And that's how she's done her content creation and her setup on her channel, is that she makes a video that she knows is going to please the crowd, that all of her followers want her to make. And then the next one she makes is for herself, whatever the fuck she wants it to be. And she just goes back and forth between those two. That's probably, honestly, again, in my opinion, if you're wanting to make it a career, but not get into that burnout stage, not go overboard with all that, that probably is the key, is kind of that one for them, one for me mentality. I don't know. At least that's my opinion. I just hate people, I guess. So I can't give anything away. I'm like, no, it always has to be about me and what I want to do.
You're like, damn it, I'm sitting in this chair for 4 hours. I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
Exactly. But anyway, so I guess I asked you guys then, you both seem to deal with this. Again, I don't really. So what have you found, Metal, and then Codations, you can even answer this. What have you found? I mean, because you're still posting content to this day.
Yep.
So what have you found to deal with that feeling? Because I'm sure there's lots of other creators out there that, I mean, was it just as you were kind of hinting at, did you just finally say fuck it and start making 100% whatever you want to make, Metal, and that's it, and didn't give a shit about anything else, the numbers or any of that? And if so, how has that gone for you, that change?
I think it's so in terms of like my kind of path, you know, I kind of had the burnout phase, and then I'm kind of more into like TikTok and like Twitch type stuff. I wouldn't say that I've gone full on like fuck everyone, I'm just gonna make literally anything that I want to make, right?
And just
I think
FYI,
it was just
any of my followers listen, I was just kidding. I love you all.
I think it was more like I'm just gonna release this like grip on myself, right? And just let myself exist where I exist in the space naturally. And also along with that, like give myself the mental space that it's okay to like take a break or like not make anything if I need to, right? Kind of like listen to like, okay, what do I need at the moment, and not judge myself for having not made another video, not judge myself for like switching niches, right? Like letting go of that stuff so that I can so that when I'm ready, because I feel like I'm still kind of in that middle zone where I'm still just refreshing, regathering myself from that YouTube phase, and being able to like come back at it in a headspace where there's no longer this pressure on me, and I can consciously just think about what do I want to do, what is fun, and then like slowly go into it that way versus kind of like running full force into like I need 1 million subscribers, I need like this person to see my video, I need, you know, all these things that like are an exciting idea, and like it's like that's where all the work is. But then like coming at it from like a sustainability point where it's like, well, I feel I could do this for a while, like this is fun, it's easy for me to do too, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like the thing like, because now that I do like some Twitch streaming, like the thing that appealed to me about that, because I had some time to think about it, was okay, what's my problem with like getting content out? And it was like, well, I have to like think of the story and make and like write it out and then go film it and go into public spaces, like deal with like some extreme like social anxieties around doing some crazy stuff like running into trees in public, like all these things that are like they're hilarious and I love that I get them on film, but it's like really hard to do that alone in a public space. But
True.
I was like, well, Twitch streaming, like it's really interesting because like I'm sure you know Dr. Disrespect and all that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I saw that and I was like, this is the Casey Neistat of Twitch. And I don't see really anybody else doing this virtual character storyline on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
And that's what really sparked my head.
Yeah, and just for people listening that might not know who Dr. Disrespect is, he's a Twitch streamer, so he plays video games on twitch.tv for an audience. What's different about him, and where I think, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, Metal, but what I think Metal's saying by he's playing this character is he uses there is a lot of production put into it's. Most Twitch streamers are a webcam on them and they're playing a game, and maybe they have some kind of overlays on their stream. Dr. Disrespect, every stream has its own thumbnail. He has different green room screens set up where he's in like a locker room talking to people. Then he's in, I mean, just the amount of production value in his stream compared to any other stream on twitch.tv is I would say 100 times. And I think that's what you're referring to when you say he's the Casey Neistat of twitch.tv.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I saw what he was doing and I realized like there's this big gap here. Right. And I realized like that production value, like what he's doing to me sparked like curiosity and fun. I wasn't fearful of it. Like that 10-minute YouTube block, right?
Right.
So then I was like, well, what would it take to like recreate something like this? And it, like, basically, long story short is like I started bringing up this like character. I don't know, like something that I've always vibed with like this outcast, like experimenter, tinkerer. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched like Dexter's Laboratory.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid.
Yeah, mine too. And I feel like it really stemmed from that, about like, wow, it'd be really cool if there was like just this live on another planet, just build stuff all day, like have all this cool stuff. And I was like, heck, I'll make that, you know? And I feel like I still have a lot of plans for it, because I realized like in terms of the content and like getting content out is now, like when I'm streaming, like with a Twitch stream, all I have to do is it's basically like practicing like acting, right? You're creating a character and you're living into that character. Dr. Disrespect has been creating his character for 10 over 10 years, I think. Like his first video is like a pretty accurate Dr. Disrespect that we see to this day, like just making these short films and stuff, right? So
Yeah.
he's got that persona like locked down. And then that feeds into like, well, if I'm acting as this character while I'm streaming, all of a sudden I have 4 however many hours of content that I've made that I can then turn into like clips, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking about it like this is all like my plan that I'm like piecing together, of like I could actually build a team to help me with this, where I could basically automate the whole thing, where it's like, okay, I do my stream, all I focus on is this character and make it like as entertaining as possible. And then that feeds out into a video editor who then cuts it up. That feeds out into like someone who's going to handle social posts. And this is all what Dr. Disrespect does. He has like a business all surrounding just him streaming, where he takes that income, pays team members to help him like get it out, and all he has to focus on is stream. So
Yeah,
right. I'm kind of trying to recreate that, because it kind of takes away that pressure that YouTube introduced of like, what are you going to make today for this 10 minutes? Instead, it focuses in on how much fun can you have, right? It's easy.
Right. You're not focusing on all of the stressful analytical side of it. You're focusing on strictly the content. You're focused on, I want to make this is my idea and plan, and I want to put it into action, and you just play that out while everybody else delegates and does the rest of the stuff. And that's cool.
Yeah. And I also, along with that, I also realized like like the actual power of a community is where you want to put your focus, because like I have 40,000, almost 40,000 people, but most of them found me from watching a chair video, right? But they'll never like, they're not going to sit there and watch every single one of my videos. Like most of them, like you've seen, I posted Twitch videos that maybe get 100, 200 views. Those subscribers are basically like I don't know. It's not as powerful as like sitting down with a group and building bonds over time, where, okay, you sit down with a group of 5 people and you've built this bond, and then they come back and now it's 6 people. And then they come back and now, oh, they brought 2 friends. Now it's 8 people. And these people are coming back because they genuinely like to hang out with you. They genuinely like what you make. Right.
Right.
And I think that kind of power, when put into effect onto YouTube, like when you take your Twitch audience and then it's like, hey, I posted a video here, and then every time they're coming back to watch your new videos, is, I think, the catalyst that makes YouTube channels blow up, because you're building that actual real world connection via live. And that's a much bigger incentive for people to go and watch your videos where you're not live, because then they can talk to you about it the next time.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. Back to your question though, D. So you were stating, like, just so I know where to go with this, you were wanting to know like what I did differently, or what I'm doing now to help myself with dealing with it.
Yeah, I was just, which first off, great answers, Metal. So just to clarify on Metal side, so it sounds like what you've done is you're still you're more kind of honing in on the content you want to create. You're honing in on the format that works best for your content, and you started focusing more on building the actual community more than just focusing on getting high numbers, because the lesson in here for everybody, I think, and this is something, again, Codations, you can attest to this. I've preached it to you, I don't know how many times, is the numbers don't matter as much as the community that you build that's going to support you under that. I think I even had you read an article once, Codations, or at least I sent it to you. Yep. Lord knows if you actually read it or not. And I don't know if you've ever seen this article, Metal, but there's an article called, I forget who it's written by, but it's called 1,000 True Fans or something like that. And it shows how the power of just having like that core base audience that you don't need. You know, everybody starts YouTube or starts Twitch or starts this, and they think like, oh, I need 1 million followers to make it big. Like, and you don't realize, like, really it's that core audience you need that's going to support all your stuff no matter what, that's going to buy your merch when you launch it, that's going to share the video with all their friends, like those die-hard fans. I don't even like the word fans. I mean, nowadays, just the site is, I mean, like, in my opinion, like I would say I have right now probably 20 to 30 of those people that I would say like are diehard fans of mine, but they're friends. Like, honest to God, they're fucking friends that are on the internet. So it's weird. But you know, that like it, but I agree with that 100%, as Codations could probably attest. So I think it's a smart move. Personally, that's what I focus on, is that, and that gives you the freedom a lot of times to kind of like how I do, just post whatever the fuck I want. But yes, go into you, Codations.
Yeah, mine's not.
So what have you found to help with that issue of always only trying to make what you know is best for, not even, I don't want to say the money, because I don't think it's always about the money, but creating what you think is best for the audience.
Yeah, for the algorithm, creating, basically, yeah.
Or the algorithm, however you want to say it, or versus creating for yourself. How have you dealt with that?
Well, I can tell you right now, 100%, I'm nowhere near at I think Jason's a little bit further than me, or Metal's a little bit further than me in the process. I mean, me currently right now, I'm still struggling with it. What I have done, to help me out for the most part is a couple of things. One, I started off by removing the YouTube Studio app from my phone. Because I just couldn't stop, looking at it. I mean, it was just, all the time, constantly looking at it. And I wasn't using it for like a tool, I was using it. It was like really draining me, like I'm looking at it, I'm stressing over it. I'm like, this video is not doing as good as I want it to. YouTube's really good, man. They show you everything. They show you all the green, arrows going up. If it's great, if it's not great, it's going to be, gray. And if it's going really bad, it's going to be red, So I mean, basically that was like my first attempt, was to remove the app from my phone, because I just couldn't utilize it for what it was, as a tool. So I did that. And then the other thing that I started doing is I actually started incorporating more live streams into my channel. And by doing that, I started to figure out that number, that number that you guys are talking about, that community, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So on average, when I'm doing live streams, I'm getting, roughly 80 people in there, 80 to 100 people in there. Now if I'm playing a specific game or an update, that number will obviously increase for people who care about that game. But for the most part, that's my number, and those same people are feeding my Discord, they're constantly active, that sense of the community started building for me. And it didn't matter what I put out, my answer, I would put out polls, asking, like, what game do you guys want to see? Do you, what content you like better? And I just started getting these answers from these like 80 people. That's like anything you make. Like anything you put out, like, we don't care. We're here to watch your 3-hour stream. You know what I mean? We don't care what you're playing. Just put something on and talk to us, Mm-hmm. And so I started to see that sense of community. And I think that's what really helped me, like, try to not focus so much on the revenue and job aspect, and instead try to build that community more. And not only that, try to enjoy my content a little bit more. And that's kind of what I've tried to do. And you can see that. I mean, if you can see, there's a change in my channel where I started introducing random games, you know what I mean? Where like a new game come out, I wanted to play the new game, you know? So most of the time they're like live streams, I would go live that night on my normal time, but instead of like playing the same game we've been playing for however long that I do guides and content on, I'm just playing this game just to be playing it. You know, I would start off, you know, download the game for the first time, play it. And I just started to enjoy doing that. Even if I didn't cover content on the game, you know, I just liked doing that. So I started doing that more, kind of taking on that, you know, whole concept. I forget her name that you were talking about, but you know, the one for them, one for me type of attitude, you know?
Yeah.
In doing that, it's helped me a lot with the creative freedom aspect. The other thing I guess that I kind of have also realized is I kind of did the whole, you know, like goal jotting down thing, you know, where I kind of like wrote out all my goals and I'm like, you know, what exactly do I want out of YouTube right now? You know, I'm married, I've got one child, you know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, my life is completely busy outside of YouTube, you know what I mean? You know, with, you know, working a full-time job and my family, it's like, okay, so the limited time that I have that I'm putting in, you know, and by the way, it's not, you know, 15-minute. Anybody listening to this that doesn't do content creation, I'm sure Jason and I know Garrett can attest. Your 15-minute video, whoever's listening to this, it's not 15 minutes worth of work. Like this is like you're putting in hours of work, you know what I mean, to make a 15 or a 10-minute video. So, you know, all that extra time, I kind of got to a point where it's like, okay, you know, what do I want? Do you know what I mean? What's working on the channel? Do you know what I mean? And then what am I not wanting to do on the channel that is working? And what am I willing to do on the channel that's working? And then I kind of just tried meshing it together, you know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm still in that bowl with all of these things around me. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, like I kind of want to enjoy them all, you know what I mean? But it's like, but I don't have enough time to enjoy them all, you know? So what I've really done recently here is I've kind of just honed in on the one game, you know, that's growing the channel right now that I still enjoy, you know what I mean? So I've kind of like dropped the other ones, you know what I mean? And that I wasn't really enjoying. I was just making content, kind of just kept on making the same content for a game that I'm fine with playing. I'm not upset about it. I enjoy playing the game. I don't hate my life playing the game. So I continue making content. And then I've tried to use my live streams, do you know what I mean, to be that out avenue. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, again, I guess I wish I could say that I'm at that point where it's like, oh yeah, I just do what I want to do and I make money and, you know, I'm not. I mean, you know, I am really focused on making money because my goal that I originally said is like a 5-year goal. You know, I want to be on YouTube for 5 years. And my goal is if I could make enough revenue off of my channel, that's what I want to do full time. I mean, obviously it would go, you know, from my one video a day or whatever, you know what I mean, that I would make to maybe less videos, but I would have a lot more time for production, you know, a lot more time for thought processes and putting stuff together. And I don't know, maybe second or third channel, you know what I mean, on a completely different niche or a completely different thing that I want to do versus just mobile gaming. But I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question, D, because I don't think I've made it through.
Yeah, no, I think those are all good suggestions to help someone dealing with that. I mean, I don't know if anyone ever makes it through. I don't know. I think too many times we think there's this end goal of I will arrive at this spot and I will have it all figured out. And I don't think that ever exists. And I think it's literally what you guys are describing, which is just you make adjustments as you go. If one thing's bothering you, and the biggest thing I'm hearing from both of you guys is, and not to like, but like just saying like the advice that then I would give someone if they were listening to this is like, what I'm really hearing them say is don't be afraid to make a change when you need to. Like, don't allow the algorithm or the feeling of having to hit those numbers or to stop you from making a change that you need to make for sanity's sake.
Yeah, I'd say it all boils down to just don't care about your content more than yourself. Right?
Yes, that's
just
a
an
great
endless spiral.
Yep. That's an excellent way of putting it. So with that said, then, so you are currently streaming on Twitch. That is your main content you're making with your computer. Hal, is that his name?
Just computer.
Oh, just computer. Oh, I'm thinking of what was that show where the computer name was
Space Odyssey?
Yeah,
Space Odyssey.
It was. Yeah. So his name's Computer on your live stream.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing on Twitch. Are you making content anywhere else right now, or is that like your focus?
I'm just focused on Twitch right now because like I'm still like processing and working through all the like YouTube stuff and then other life stuff. So I'm kind of just doing like
You are still occasionally posting on TikTok, no? Because I thought I saw you posted something the other day.
I haven't posted in God probably I think I posted a TikTok the other day of just perfect example. Like it was just it was just I saw a raccoon in the tree and I thought it'd be funny to like zoom in on him because he was like very sneaky and hidden, and like I feel like before I would care a lot more about like sending that out, but I was like, fuck it, like I in the end I don't really care, right? Because it's like it all comes down to like community. Like I know that like my community would like that, right?
Right.
And it's like maybe it reaches a lot of TikTokers who are like, this is dumb, right? But not having to live like really caring about like if people are going to judge you or hate your video or not is like, I think something that like you really have to have the mindset of just letting yourself be, right? Because like this whole thing is like very new still too, right? Like this is being able to like put yourself in a position where now you're being viewed by hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people is something that no human ever would experience at any point in that in their lives. Maybe like once or twice with like 1,000 people, right? Depending what you're doing and stuff. But like there's a lot of mental hurdles that I think are probably really rampant, right? But people they're not really brought to the forefront as often because it's like, well, this is what I got to do to make it. This is what I got to do, right? And everyone kind of has the grinding mindset, but what they don't realize is they're grinding bad habits and thought patterns into their head that are going to, okay, sure, they're going to be, maybe they'll reach success with that extra effort, but they're taking it out on themselves where now they're going to be sitting in this success, but completely like drained. Nothing's exciting anymore. They don't know what to make. Like,
Right. Yep. 100%. So but you do have plans, it sounds like, to kickstart back up posting content on other platforms again, pulling it from your main source of content, your Twitch streams.
Yeah, that's the plan, is to just narrow down my focus as much as possible and then slowly build out like a team system and like take as much as I can off of my plate so that I can at least take those stepping stones, right? It's better to take a small stepping stone and be able to do that versus like, okay, now I have this 4-hour video. I don't feel like editing it today. Oh, I got to make a thumbnail after this now too. Like, oh, I got to post it here and here and here and here and here. Right. But instead just be like, okay, well, let's start with like, let's find someone who can help me edit these videos. And then it's like, okay, I stream. And then here's the automation. Like when you see me stream, grab this video, edit it for me. That type of thing where, okay, then once he's done editing, like the whole system is like, okay, he's going to send me like a preview or something. I haven't really figured it out yet, but the whole framework is there that I think could really help me like at least move instead of being stuck in this kind of like stagnant state of burnout.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. I actually use an editor, and it's one of the best decisions I made. I have an editor that edits. He takes all of my live streams, 4-hour live streams 3 times a week, and condenses them down into a 15 to 20 minute video. He does a way better job than I did. Probably takes him way less time than it did me to do. And then I enjoy using them so much that I've actually started using them outside of those 3 videos per week from the live streams, and I've been using them for like vlogs and other videos as well. It has been a huge it's the only employee I have as an editor. I still do everything else myself in terms of well, let me rephrase. He creates the videos. He also makes my thumbnails. So then that leaves me to focus on posting them, trying different ways of posting them, kind of dealing more with trying to figure out how to market them after they're made, which is what I enjoy more anyways. So it's worked out really well for me. So if there's ever any way I can help with you coming up with that framework or thought process or anything like that, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to do so.
Right on, man.
I'm sure I can be a help in some way with that, because it took me a couple editors of going through them to find one that finally worked. So I think I can provide a good way of getting started with that, which actually I take no credit myself, because there's a gentleman, I don't know if you know who Reezy Resells is.
Yep.
He's actually the
Reezy.
one that showed me how to find a good editor. He uses an editor as well. So he's the one that taught me how to outsource that, find a good one, where to find a good one. Because I kept trying to use sites like Fiverr or like this or that, and I just kept running into issues with either the quality falling off or time, like their timing just falling off and all kinds of things. So he really came through and helped me out big time with that. So shout out to him. If you're interested at all in buying and reselling stuff, Reezy's your man. He's he's great at that. All right. So with that said, Mr. Metal for Breakfast, there is one last thing I wanted to talk to you about on this podcast before we let you go. We talked about content creation. Hopefully we provided the people out there with some info if they're struggling with some of the same stuff, maybe some ideas of how to combat it and stuff. Give a little bit of background on metal. I would highly suggest, and we always at the end of the podcast give people a chance to throw out their links and stuff. That way people can find you from the podcast. And I would highly suggest to do so, because like I said, I've tuned in. I'm like the guy in the background. I don't think I've ever chatted in your chat. You probably have no idea how many times I've been in your Twitch stream. I don't typically chat in streams.
Say hi, man.
Well, the problem is everybody always says that, and I'll tell you the reason why. I'm 36. I'm an older guy. So I am the quintessential. I am the guy that has streamers on in my living room on the TV. So there's no chat. I'm not on my computer watching. I got it like thrown up in the background on my TV in the living room while I'm like sitting there talking to the wife, or playing with the kids, or me and the wife do some reselling. That's part of how we support ourselves, so I can do content full time and stuff. So we, that hence Reezy Resells. But anyway, so I a lot of times have it in the background for that. So that's why I don't chat a lot. But anyways, my point being, he's super funny, super hilarious. He mainly plays Rust. I don't know if you play anything else at all. I've only seen you play Rust. But
I play a few
hilarious.
things every now and then.
Okay. Yeah. Whenever I see him, he's always playing Rust, which I enjoy. I've played Rust. I like games like that because you never know what the hell you're going to run into.
It's
you
crazy.
Never know what the hell's going to happen.
It's so ruthless.
It is. That's why personally, I've fallen in love with Grand Theft Auto RP. I don't know if you've ever done RP servers.
No.
It's very. Do you know what I'm talking about or no?
Is it like the role playing?
Yeah. Role playing. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not anything like normal GTA. It's very much you're interacting back and forth with real people all the time. The police officers in the game are real. The robbers in the game are real. The auto mechanics are real people. And you're interacting with all those people, and it makes it for some funny.
I mean, I can attest to that though. When you first said you were going to get into a role playing server, I was like, what? Like, nah, don't do that. And then now I just, every single time you're playing GTA, I'm on there listening. Some of the people you come across in that game, dude, like they play some wild characters, man. What was that? I don't forget the guy's name, but you had that one hillbilly guy, dude, that would get in there, and he's just like, I mean, the guy is just, I mean, it literally sounds like he's like snorted a bunch of crack. Like that's what the guy sounds like, and he's playing his character, and that's his character in the world, is like just some crazy lunatic. And that's who this guy, and it's a real person in real life. It's like, oh my gosh, like who is this guy? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the best. It's so much fucking fun.
I love that.
Yeah. So anyways, if you enjoy Rust, if you enjoy, comedy in streams, somebody that is comedic in nature, I would highly recommend checking out Metal's stream, which again, we'll throw some links. I'm pretty sure it's just twitch.tv/metalforbreakfast.
I think so. Sometimes they make me spell it weird. Let me double check.
Okay.
So while you're doing that, where did you get Metal for Breakfast from? What's the?
Oh yeah,
is there a backstory to that?
Metal for Breakfast just came up completely out of nowhere, randomly in my head. But it's basically like, okay, I love metal music, right? I play metal guitar. Like something that people might not know about me is like metal music and metal guitar is like flows through my veins. Like it's
Yeah.
core part of who I am. My 9 to 5 used to be machining work. So I'd make like these metal parts on like a big machine, right, all day. So I worked with metal all day. And then kind of just I've always had like, I don't know, trying to develop like this metal mindset of like wake up and just kind of like seize the day type of thing.
Yep.
So
Cool.
just
Very
those
cool.
3 things kind of just conglomerated into one name.
Cool. I like it. No, I just was curious. I just didn't know where you got the name from. That's cool.
Yeah. I did know that you play metal guitar. I've actually seen some of your riffs and stuff on TikTok. You have posted some things on TikTok as well. I think maybe in one of your vlogs one time you posted you playing or something.
Probably, yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but I have seen it a couple times. But the last thing I want to talk about, and then again, make sure we get your link out for everything. Was it Metal for Breakfast? Did you check or no?
It's it's Metal for Breakfast, but there's underscores between the metal and the for and breakfast. So it's metal underscore for underscore.
The number
breakfast.
or spelled out?
Spelled out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking. All right, and we'll get the rest of your social links here. We'll drop them at the end. But like I said, the reason I was saying all of that is because I do want to transition from the content creation side of things to something else that I've been interested in personally. I know Codations has been interested in it a little bit, but more I think from a gaming side because there has been some gaming projects coming out. I mentioned to you, I think before the start of the podcast, we did have a gentleman on the podcast. For those that listen, might remember, called the THEE Hustle House, but the NFT space, non-fungible tokens. I heard somebody call them Nifties. I hear lots of people hate that term. I love it. I think that's the best. Nifties. So I wanted to talk to you about Nifties because I know it seems like you've become pretty engulfed in the space. Pretty, I see you posting about NFT stuff all the fucking time now on Twitter. So I'm assuming you've kind of dove headfirst into that space and just kind of, and I will say, admittedly, mine and Codations, at least mine, Codations might think he's a god and knows everything about NFTs, but my knowledge is pretty limited. I'm learning. I'm trying to learn the best I can. The truth is, I mean, the internet is just starting to move at such a pace that it is impossible to keep up with everything nowadays. At least that's how I feel. Maybe I'm just getting old and like I'm like the old people back in the days when you're a kid, like, oh, it's this. It's so simple to explain. This is exactly what it is. I'm pretty, like, I've kept up with a lot of stuff. I was early into cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, all of that stuff, but there has become so many spin-off projects in the cryptocurrency space that I just feel like unless you are a kid and have unlimited time all day long because you don't have shit to do, like it's impossible to keep up with it all. So I am learning. So if some of my questions are super basic, I do apologize. I'm not trying to use you as a Google or Wikipedia, but
you're fine.
My
knowledge is I know some things, but like I'm also not like an expert in it either. I'm still learning things every day about the whole space. So
yeah, I was surprised at how knowledgeable, and I shouldn't say I was surprised because that sounds like because we brought the guest on because he was knowledgeable, but I was surprised how knowledgeable the Hustle House was. He really did explain a lot to us. I feel like, wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah. He explained everything that I know. I mean, that was literally it. And then I've followed him on, his social media links after the podcast, and I've been looking at his stuff here and there, but you know me, man, my stuff is, I don't know nowhere near, the amount of NFT stuff is a lot of people. So I'm eager to hear whatever Jason can provide with NFTs or how he got in or whatever your questions are. I'm game.
Yeah. So I guess to start things off, my first question would be, outside of NFTs, how long have you been in cryptocurrencies? Have you been in cryptocurrencies at all, Jason? Have you found cryptocurrencies are intriguing, or, excuse me, I had to burp, or was NFTs, Nifties your foray into the cryptocurrency space?
Yeah, so I found crypto, I think It was probably like 2016 or 2017. And I was buying a lot of it. I would have been set now if I had just, hands off and left it alone. But yeah, I found crypto a few years ago. And like I guess I kind of I don't know, in my head, like NFTs and crypto are kind of like in the same kind of realm for me, because at the end of the day, like an NFT is basically just like, I mean, it depends what you're buying, but it's basically like there's a supply and like ones you can buy, right? And the less supply there is of that NFT, the higher the price is going to go. And it's kind of the same thing with crypto, right? It's like the less crypto there is available in the markets, the higher the price is going to go. Except that the utility is just different for like what they're basically used for, right?
Okay.
Right. So go ahead. You were going to say something, Codations?
No. I was
Okay.
just acknowledging.
So then I guess my question is, and then this was a question I asked the Hustle House that I didn't get a very good answer from him. I didn't feel like, but so I get that concept, I get the concept of scarcity. Scarcity is a value proposition. It brings value to something. Part of the reason Bitcoin itself is worth money is because there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins minted, and that's it forever. There will never be another Bitcoin. Actually, there's not even 21 million going to be, because there's already been millions that have been lost. So realistically, when it's all said and done, there might only be about 15 to 16 million Bitcoins is the estimation that'll ever exist. So I do think that that's part of what can bring something value. And so from my understanding of an NFT is that basically it is the same thing as a cryptocurrency in essence. It is the same thing as a Bitcoin in that it is a piece of information on a ledger that says somebody owns this. So in the blockchain of Bitcoin, that ledger reads Derek Salyers owns this many like this Bitcoin and this Bitcoin and this Bitcoin. Like I'm in the ledger of owning those. In the NFT space, it's a ledger of MetalForBreakfast owns this. What did you say? This cool cat, which I think is a project you were talking about at the beginning. So he owns this cool cat. Somebody else might take that picture of that cool cat and post it on their social media. They might take a picture of that cool cat and post it on their merchandise. But unlike traditional media before, or I should say pre NFTs, if MetalForBreakfast saw somebody use his picture of a cool cat he drew, and he didn't draw this cool cat, but in an example, somebody put it on a t-shirt, made a profit, he took him to court, he'd have to prove that he's the one that created this drawing that it's in his house that his friend saw and stole. In the NFT space, there's record of that. So you now have record of ownership is really all that an NFT is, correct? From my understanding, it's literally just the record of who owns that thing.
Exactly. And I think there's so much like, I don't know. There's kind of a lot of questions around it. And I think that the reason why it seems so foreign and so weird is because like our culture is starting to accept digital items as valuable, right? There was a time when like they made a dollar bill and it was like, what's this piece of paper? This is no metal coin. This this doesn't have any weight to it. This isn't valuable. But over time, like when people,
and they actually had to back it up with gold. Originally,
right.
It's no longer backed by gold, but originally they had to back that currency by gold because that's what people gave value to. Just to throw that in there, but
right.
So.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like we're kind of in that zone now where it's like people are slowly like kind of accepting together, like, hey, yeah, if you'll value this, I'll value it, right? And I think when like there's still so many people who are outside of that bubble, right? There's still so many people who are like you said, like, I'm not buying that, I'm buying gold, right?
Yep.
But like the thing that like maybe they don't understand this because they haven't gotten into it is that like say you buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? What they don't understand is that it may be digital, right? But the digital aspect of it is basically like the backing, right? It's basically like it's proof that you own this thing. And what's more is that like I just love this thought of like you could have 100 Ethereum in your wallet or Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency, and not even a full army could come and take your cryptocurrency. Like they would have to get you to give them your pass seed or your seed phrase to get into your wallet. They couldn't do anything to get into it, no matter what they did, unless you spilled.
Yeah,
so
I guess it would depend on because we say I also agree that that's a great thing, but the downside of that is you might get tortured if you have enough. And they want that seed.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
But no, I agree. It's a really cool concept that you're right. There is no, it's not like with a bank account where they can go and freeze your assets. Mm-hmm. There is no freezing your Bitcoin. They literally could not stop you from doing any transactions with your cryptocurrency unless they were to actually get into your account. And it can't be, you know, at least so far, there's no way to hack the Bitcoin network. And which also means there's no way to hack an NFT network currently. You know, because of the way that they're designed cryptographically designed. There's just not enough power. It would cost too much real world resources to get enough equipment to break the encryption on these networks, which is really cool in and of itself. But I guess my question in bringing all that up was more to ask, circling back around to the beginning thought was, so you say like, oh, okay, scarcity, you know, it makes it valuable. So there's only a limited amount of these Bored Ape yacht clubs. There's only a limited amount of these cool cats. There's only a limited amount of these garbage. I forget the name of all the
Pail
projects.
Kids, isn't it? Or
yeah,
garbage.
They did do a Garbage Pail Kids one. They did a Street Fighter drop. You know, here's what I ask: where does that scarcity? Like, I think at some point though, like there's this bubble. And we see bubbles in everything that's going to pop in the NFT space. And I don't think it's just a scarcity thing, but I think it's also what I find interesting. And you're already seeing this in the world of what was the big project? Was it Topps that does the baseball cards that the Hustle House was talking to us about, Codations?
Yep.
Was that Topps?
Yeah. It was either baseball or basketball. I can't remember.
I think it was baseball cards. Do you know what the big one is, or is it Top Shot, or what was it? Do you know what those are, Metal? Like
Top
the
Shot?
big, yeah. Is it Top Shot? Is that what it is? Okay, so is that the same as Topps? Are they Topps, or is Top Shot a different?
I have no idea.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I'm not sure either. I just remember him talking about it to us. But what you're starting to see in that space is, I think like their last launch they just did for the first time, and I could be getting this wrong, so people fact check me. But I believe this was the first drop they did where they didn't sell out of card packs. And so I see that in the NFT space as well. And I think other people are starting to see it, because what you're starting to see some of these creators do is add some kind of utility to their NFT, whether that is special access to a special community Discord that only people that own that NFT can join, or whether that's, I've even seen some like where it's interesting to see these communities form, because again, the one I've seen the most of is the Bored Ape Yacht Club, but you even see the members of them, including some very high profile musicians and stuff in the world, that now own one of these apes. But they almost like they're exchanging services for free with each other, just because they're all part of this little club of the of owning this NFT. So my question is, how much do you think scarcity will still do you actually, because the way you said it, and I don't think you meant it this way, but the way you said it was almost like, oh yeah, if it's scarce, it's going to be worth more money in the future. How much of that do you think rings true versus what do you think as the NFT space grows? Will that have to change to more of a utility, or just like in the real world, I don't want to say a competition, but honestly, I mean, that's kind of what it is. Like the best art wins. Like, you know what I'm trying to ask there, or what?
Yeah.
I'm just curious to your thoughts around that. Like because right now it just seems like every project that comes out does fucking fantastic and blows up, and everybody in the NFT space is making money. And I wish I would have got in sooner. But now looking at it, I'm like, my pop is now a good time to get into it.
Right. Yeah. I definitely feel that we are like we are in that phase where, okay, the extent of the NFT is this art piece. That's all you get. That's all there ever will be. And like, it pops, people make money. And it's like, I think we definitely in that space where that cycle is going to go, but it's definitely like, it's going to come to an end to where it now needs to be focused, like you said, like the utility. Like that's why like the project that's like true to my heart is CyberKongs, because like very little people know this, which is we're trying to like well, the CyberKongs was actually the original Bored Apes, and Bored Apes basically played off of like CyberKongs. Like CyberKongs was like one of the first few projects to do that generative art with different assets and rarities that were all released and form this community.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, like that even you can even see like it drove me crazy. Even in their dog project that they dropped, like they have the banana hat. Like they took a lot of the assets that were like created through CyberKongs and basically just took them. But CyberKongs, what they're doing is they are heavily focused on the utility, where now if you own a CyberKong, right, a Genesis CyberKong, which is like the original OG, like only 1,000 of them, that NFT is actually earning you income, because the CyberKongs have their own utility token called Banana, which you can trade, you can use it to buy things, you can exchange it for Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever you want.
Okay.
So owning this NFT is generating you income just by owning it. And we're expanding into the 3D metaverse, where now we're basically going to be creating this entire ecosystem around this community, around this particular NFT with its own currency, where now you can use this currency to buy different items in the banana shop, which then you own, which then you can sell those to other players wanting to own those items, right? It kind of, I think that route of like really gamifying it and creating these just mini ecosystems with their own little quirks and things is really what the future is going to be. Like I think the NFTs are really going to fall in line with like the play to earn thing. Like I think if I were to predict, I'd say you're going to have like your art niche where you have like these $1 million like NFTs. Like I like the code to the invention of the internet was just sold for like $6 million or something. You're going to have like these incredible sports moments that are going to be valuable. But I do think that this kind of like generative phase where it's just art and that's it is going to kind of die off, and it's going to become more and more about like gaming, and like really like you could run your own business through these like digital NFT games, right? Because now there's actual value being introduced, where now you can get actual value out. So people are going to have real businesses that are just digital, right? Same as like the cryptocurrency. It took a while to kind of accept that this digital like transaction was worth something, but it's going to kind of introduce that into NFTs too, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think that's something both Codations and I personally are more interested in. That's, you were talking about like, people are starting to see that there's value in these digital items, and that's probably why the three of us, I think we're all pretty like unanimous that there's value in digital items, and that probably comes from the gaming space, because I remember even way back in the days, when I was a teenager, young man playing World of Warcraft, there was people that I knew that literally made a living farming for items in that game and selling them on the secondary market that wasn't a legal thing to do in the game back then. It could actually get your accounts banned and stuff. But nonetheless, there was people doing it. They would farm for gold and sell it on the secondary markets. They would farm items and sell them on the secondary market. So for me, that's always existed. There's always been people in video games that want a certain item that don't have maybe they're,
the time
business
or
owners. Yeah.
Yeah.
That they just don't have the time to grind for that stuff. So they're willing to pay for someone else to grind, but they want that status symbol, just like in real life, that they have this epic mount or this epic armor set or whatever that it may be. So for me, that 100% makes sense. So my question would be, and maybe Codations, because I know this, excuse me, I'm burping like crazy all of a sudden, guys. I apologize. But I guess Codations, do you have anything to input on what he was just saying? Because I know we've talked about the metaverse. We've done a podcast on the metaverse. I know that starts getting my juices flowing. So before I run away, Codations, you got any input?
The only thing I was going to say is I was just going to state what I'm most excited about with this stuff. I mean, like for me being a gamer, you know what I mean? Like, I think I want to say it was like CSGO. I don't know if like CSGO was one of the very first ones or what it was, but what I'm interested in is I'm interested in for the gaming world. And maybe it's not NFTs, maybe it's what comes after NFTs, or maybe what NFTs or, whatever they morph into. But I'm interested in playing games where the items that I am spending the time grinding, you know what I mean? The sets that I'm, whatever it is, whether it's weapons and gear and armor, whatever it is that I'm grinding or mounts or whatever, I'm excited for that to have value. You know what I mean? There is no more of like okay, it just exists in the game. You mean, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm excited for that metaverse and that, what's the guy's name from Shark Tank? What's the guy's name? Is it Cuban?
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban. Yeah. He's getting into the whole thing, and his whole thing right now is he's trying to build a trophy room, for these nifties or these NFTs or, or this basically digital universe, this ecosystem, but it would be like, a realm where it's just a place, to show off your NFTs, you know what I mean? The stuff that you own, your own personal gallery type of thing. And I think, like, I can't wait to get to that point, because I don't know who doesn't like to, to boast about that stuff. It's like, oh, I've got 3,000 hours invested in this game. You know what I mean? It's like, here's all my cool stuff, you know what I mean? To show that I've done that, you know what I mean? And that part to me is what's really, really cool. But I'm excited to mix it with making money. You know what I mean? Like, I think that part's going to be awesome. Like you said, World of Warcraft, Eric, like if I could, if it'd be sweet if I could spend all of my free time that I want to, right, grinding out these items or these rare items in game or Diablo, whatever you're going to play. And I can then say, I don't really want this sword anymore. Right. But, I can then post it on a market somewhere where somebody, like you said, is willing to be like, oh man, I don't have all this time to grind for this sword, but I really want this sword, boom, drops money, real money or crypto or whatever it is at the time that I can then, use for something else, for something that I worked for. You know what I mean? Like that's the part that I'm really excited about. That's all I wanted to add.
And for me, I guess I'll add on to that before I ask Metal my question I was going to ask, which is that kind of what, like you're saying with the metaverses of cyberkongs, is that kind of what we're leading to is like, but yeah, I would agree with you, Codations. What I don't have a lot of interest in just owning an item that I can show I own the NFT for it personally. I think it's, like if Metal was like, oh, here's my address for my blockchain, here's all the items I own, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. What I'm more excited for is kind of like what you're saying, where it's like, not only can I earn these items, but then a step further, I want to be able to take those items with me. So I'm looking for that base layer that gets built in the NFT space, where I don't know if it is that, like how Bitcoin has kind of become the first layer of cryptocurrencies, and then you have cryptocurrency, like Ether's value, like people might say Ethereum's more valuable than Bitcoin. There's people that argue that, whatever. The fact is, without Bitcoin first existing, Ethereum never would have existed. So Bitcoin kind of has made this place of, it's the base value of the cryptocurrency space, and everything's being built on top of it. You had Ethereum, then on top of Ethereum, you have like NFTs. So it's like these layers. My hope or my dream is to see NFTs turn into this base layer of code that then plugs into all video game. Like it becomes basically the code of a metaverse world that all games plug into, that somehow has some kind of open standard, that then I could go from this one game to another game. And as long as they both use maybe the same weapons, like let's say this game uses swords and this game allows you to use a sword, I want to be able to use my sword in either game if I want to. Or if I get a sword in this game, go back to this game and use this sword in this game. Like I want to be able to actually use my items across video games, not just display them.
Sounds a lot like Sword Art Online. It really does. Like when we
It
talk about
does,
it this
but-
way, it's really weird because you look at it like an anime and then you're thinking like, yeah, that's not gonna, we're not that close. But then when you take a step back and you kind of put it into the world of these ecosystems or these digital, like metaverses, yeah, I mean that's kind of what it is. You want to be able to jump from this game to this game, and you want to be able to bring this awesome sword or this helmet or this whatever that gives you this crazy ability or looks cool or whatever. You want to be able to bring it with you and show it off. Yeah,
and obviously, I mean, some games probably can't allow certain things because of fairness or whatever, and that's cool. But even just general hangout areas, now that we have VR and AR coming out and things like that, just general lobbies where you can kind of be in them and dress up your avatar in any of these items that you've gotten from different games. So just all of that stuff. So going back to you then, Metal, so he kind of explained his thoughts, my thoughts. So I mean, do you think this is something that you're gonna see? I mean, I feel like it has to be something that these NFT guys eventually do. I mean, I feel like for them, after the whole art fad fades off, and again, I think there will always be Top Shot cards or moments that will be worth money, just like there are some actual real life basketball or baseball cards that are worth money. There will be some artwork that'll always be worth money, just like in real life there's some artwork that's always worth money. But after this kind of fad of just everything that's created makes money, compounds in money, sells for way more money, and everybody's happy making money, wears off, I feel like the number one place that they're going to be able to use this tech to actually generate income is going to be in the gaming space. And so that really intrigued me. All of this came from because it really intrigued me when you said that cyber Kongs were kind of focusing on this utility of not only like if you own the OG thing, but you get these banana tokens that you earn. So I'm assuming you earn them passively. So what, you get a banana every so often because you own one of these Kongs, or how does that, like, what pays to give the bananas value?
Yeah, so for every Genesis Kong, which is number 1 through 1,000, they generate 10 banana per day. And the banana is only created by the Genesis Kongs. So every day there's 10,000 Genesis Kongs, so every day there's 10,000 bananas being created. But there's bananas also being introduced that are being burned by changing the name, changing the bio, or breeding. So if you have 2 Genesis Kongs and you breed a baby Kong, that costs 600 bananas, which are then taken out of the ecosystem and burned. You've created another NFT asset, a Cyber Kong baby, and use those bananas, but those bananas are no longer there anymore, right?
So and so just to make sure I understand in this, just having you walk me through this very slowly. So the way then is so let's say people that don't own a Genesis Kong, but they own maybe 2 other Kongs, and they want to produce a baby Kong, they would need to then buy bananas. To do so essentially the bananas are this currency to allow you to do things in, as you were saying, this game of Cyber Kongs. But you also have a attribute feature. So you might want to create a bunch of Kongs, baby Kongs, to get one that you actually. So there's a gaming aspect to it. So kind of like a gotcha system in the game. You don't know what you're going to get out of the loot box. So it kind of also incentivizes people to keep buying bananas, to keep trying to get exactly what they want out of one of their Kongs. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's kind of like the idea for the baby Kongs was to really build the community, because the Cyber Kong Genesis Kongs themselves are pretty pricey at the moment now, because there's only 1,000 of them, right? And in order to get more people into the community, like we needed a way to like have a cheaper alternative where someone could get a baby Kong and set it as their profile picture. So that was like that's just the very first step into this whole thing. Because we're now about to launch CyberKong VX, which is the 3D voxel versions, which I don't know if you've heard of like the Sandbox or like Decentraland, that type of thing.
I've heard of Decentraland. I've not heard of or is it the Sandbox or whatever.
Yeah,
can you explain what those are?
Yeah, it's like the whole metaverse idea where it's going to be, you know, like actual 3D avatars like moving around like in the world. But the catch is that like there's value in this world, right? There'll be businesses in this world. There will be like actual real world money like moving throughout this world, where now like it can pay you to be part of this world versus just playing as a game, right? So
and is Sandbox and Decentraland, are those companies that are producing these worlds? Are they the same company? Are they different companies?
So Decentraland, I don't know a lot about. Sandbox is basically like kind of a picture like Minecraft. Picture like tons and tons of players in this one world mixed with Minecraft, where they're actually going to be able to build the world and like build the entire world themselves up, right? So it's all going to be very like community driven. So like with the Cyber Kongs, like we're going to build Kong's Island, right? And it's all going to be Cyber Kong themed, where people can come and like walk through Cyber Kong Island and like go to the banana shop and buy assets at the banana shop using banana, right? Like see like the Cyber Kong avatars moving through it, right? So that's that's where I feel like we're really in like the kind of stage in NFTs where like we haven't really gone over the ledge yet, where it's like now it's like really wide. We're kind of just at that point where it's like you can collect items and you can't really you can sell them, and that's basically it. But with the whole metaverse coming up, it's going to be like vast 3D worlds with tons and tons of like different opportunities inside of them, that then all those items can play their part within that whole world.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, and again, I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of that. So Sandbox, they're not owned by CyberKongs?
No.
So this is somebody that is creating this platform that then will allow any NFT provider. So it is basically somebody trying to write that base layer code.
Yep.
For then all NFTs to plug into, so that you could be in one world, but see Cyber Kongs and Bored Ape Yacht Club both running around in this same world, or whatever other NFT, as long as the NFT holders create avatars out of their NFTs that plug in with this system, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's like a lot of like big players who like have land there already. Like I know Atari has like big chunk of land. Like
is that a Sandbox or Decentraland again?
Sandbox. I haven't looked into Decentraland too much, just because Sandbox just visually I think looks a lot better. But you can go to the website and like look at like the land plots and see who owns which land. And like that's another aspect that comes into it, is like land ownership. Like digital land ownership is like an entirely new like ecosystem, because now all of a sudden you could be able to rent out your digital land for someone to run their business on, right? You could buy this land in the hopes that the price is going to go up, because let's say, I don't know, down the line, like Walmart just opened up like a store next to it, and you think that the value is going to go up or down or whatnot, or an Apple store opened up and you think the value is going to go up or down. That type of thing is going to be at play a lot, I think. it's going to get like very, very in depth, but like really fun because there's so many avenues you can go with it.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely sounds interesting. Sandbox and Decentraland. I had never heard of either of those two. Again, I had heard of Decentraland, but I guess I didn't realize that's what it was the creation of that metaverse.
Mhm.
Like I said, that's the part that excites me. And I think that would then be where I would start getting more interested in owning some of the digital assets. Not that I'm not interested. It's just I just have I don't know why. I just have not been able to pull the trigger on actually buying any NFT yet, because I'm just like, man, I do not want to drop an ether,
Mhm.
especially because see, I'm a big believer in cryptocurrencies.
Mhm.
So I'm a big believer that Ethereum still has like 20, what's that right now, 2100, 2200. I know it's been fluctuating crypto here a little bit lately, but like I'm not like against like Ethereum hitting 10,000, 20,000 per ether. So I have a hard time letting go of any of my cryptocurrencies, to be completely honest. So because I'm like, oh, I buy this Kong, and even though it might go up to being worth 2 or 3 ether, as the price of ether goes up, is disproportionately the price of NFTs just automatically going to follow that? Or would I make more money by holding just the straight ether and it doubling, tripling, quadrupling in price over the next 2-3 years? And I guess I have a hard time with that because, like yourself, I got in early, so much so that at one point I owned about 500 Bitcoin. I was in super early.
Yeah.
And what I did was very similar to what people in the NFT space are doing, is I invested into the ecosystem of crypto more. I invested into mining rigs, and I invested into, but I did that with my Bitcoin that was going up in price. Well, then what happened was I bought all this mining equipment and stuff, but then the price of Bitcoin shot up. And because the price of Bitcoin shot up, the difficulty of the network shot up, which made my mining equipment basically obsolete. Which then in turn, it hurt me. You know what I mean? Like if I would have just held the Bitcoin, I'd be retired and definitely making whatever the fuck content I want every single day.
Right.
Whereas with the method I took, I still have, crypto left, but now I'm kind of at the same space. Like, I remember what happened last time I gave up some of my crypto, and so I'm like, I don't want to make that same mistake. So that's I think the problem I've had with NFTs. I wish there was a way to just earn some NFTs. I know people do free drops sometimes and stuff, and I've been trying to follow and watch some of those because I like the idea of collecting NFTs. I'm just afraid of giving up my cryptocurrencies to do so.
Right.
And like, in order for me to afford some of these projects like CyberKongs that are 1 or 2 ether, I'd either have to sell, like, because most of my wealth are held in 2 things: either A, cryptocurrencies, or B, stock market, like stocks and stuff, investments that I own. So like, I don't want to sell any of those to buy the NFT.
Right.
And I don't have like the available cash to go out and just drop 2-3 grand. Or on some of these projects like Bored Ape Clubs, I mean, some of these apes I think are like $10,000-$15,000 for one of those apes.
Yeah, it's
and I
definitely
it's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
it's definitely like the risky end of the spectrum, right? It's like my kind of goal for it, right, is like I definitely recognize how, okay, if I would have just held what I've collected over the years, I'd be so set. Like the 32 Bitcoin I had like 2 years ago, I'd be so set, right?
Oh my God.
I think my actual plan is to kind of like use the NFT opportunity to filter some crypto out of it and then lock that up, right? Because it's like I can't afford 50, 100 Ethereum right now. But I feel like if I could find the right opportunities at the forefront in the NFT space and kind of filter that, then I could build up a pile of like 50, 100 Ethereum and then just lock that away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of use it as like a method to attain what is kind of unattainable right now with the higher risk.
Right. That makes sense. That makes
Mhm.
sense. So, but that tells me I should just hang on to my cryptocurrencies because the people in the NFT space are trying to earn more cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a safe option. Like, I think, I really think that Ethereum's going to be like that base layer, like you're talking about, for like everything. Like everything's just being.
You think it's going to outpace Bitcoin?
I think
Eventually,
that
do you think it overtakes Bitcoin? That's the question.
it's hard. It's really hard to say. Like, I think kind of Bitcoin will end up being like, the store of value, right? Like the gold, and Ethereum's going to be the one that's supporting like
The cash,
everything,
the system. Yeah,
right? So maybe like way down the road, like Ethereum could, like just from the service that it's providing to the entire world, could overtake Bitcoin. But I mean, there's no way to know, like, because like look at like social media networks, like there was MySpace. No one ever thought MySpace would go away, and then it's just wiped out of the planet, right? So
yeah.
no one really knows what's going to happen, right? You can just place your best bets on and kind of flow with it as it goes.
Yeah, I've always been, a big fan of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in it super early. Like I said, I amassed a lot and then made some dumb moves, but you live, you learn, whatever. I'm not salty about it. Fuckers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really not. It is what it is. I learned a lot from it. I'm still lucky enough to hold a decent bag. But and I've been a big believer of Ethereum too, as kind of a secondary layer. What really got me more like, oh, Ethereum might just win out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying it will. I kind of have the same belief as you that Bitcoin will remain this store of value, this digital gold, and then Ethereum will kind of be the layer that the cash flows through, so to say. But I heard a statistic, and I can't remember the numbers, and I don't even know if this is true. I didn't fact check it, but it was on, I think, a Joe Rogan podcast. No, Lex Friedman podcast. He's been into crypto a lot lately, and he had a guest on. I think it was Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum. It was the second podcast with him, I think. Again, don't quote me on this. Fact check it yourself. Never listen to anybody on the internet. We're all stupid assholes. But he said something about like Visa did like, I'm making up numbers again, but like $82 billion a month in transactions. He said Ethereum did that in one day, does that in one day. And I'm like, wait, what? Like Ethereum does as much transaction volume in one day as Visa does in a whole month. And I was like, oh shit. Like that was like the light bulb. Like that was the moment I was like, oh my God. Like I don't think people unless you're really like, even like as I was saying that, and not to like put Codations on the spot, but I was watching Codation's face, and I don't like, there was no big reaction. So I don't think many people understand what that means. If you're doing the world's money volume in a day of what Visa's doing in a month, like that's a big fucking deal. Like a big fucking deal. Like think of how much Visa is fucking worth. Like it's mind-boggling if you kind of understand what that means in terms of just how the system of money works. It's mind-blowing. But anyway,
it's kind of interesting because it's like cryptocurrency really, like how the internet connected the world. Money didn't really like go with it, but now that cryptocurrency is here, now like our money is also connected to the entire world. So it's no longer like send a transaction, get it approved by your bank, wait 3 to 5 days for it to go through, or what things are so slow, but built on this like old baseline, right? Like I think I read that like the computer systems we use today for banking were like put in place in the 60s or something, and that's why it takes so long, right? But now that cryptocurrency is here, it's just like full ownership, full like authority over like your money, where it goes, who you send it to, like.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is, some people like freak out, like, oh, I got to do all this hard stuff, but just as we're starting to see, like, there will be simplified versions of it like you can just buy it on Coinbase and keep all of your money on Coinbase, which would basically be the same. And eventually banks will probably offer it. You'll be able to go down to your local Huntington or Bank of America or, Chase Bank and have an account that holds cryptocurrency in it, just like you can now with PayPal and your Square apps. That'll probably happen in traditional banking as well. You'll have a custodian that holds it, but you can also kind of have that vault of your own money, your savings that only you control, only you have. And you might have other people that have access to the keys and stuff in case you lose it. I mean, that's all your decisions you got to make. But how secure or how unsecure chances you want to take, whether you fuck something up, I mean, that's all decisions you'll be able to make. But the cool thing is that we'll all individually be able to make that. And that's what I like, is that it gives that choice back. And I, just the same, like, even like if I want to do a transfer to, somebody, a bank transfer, it costs $40 to do a bank transfer from one bank to another. I mean, crypto, I mean, even when people complain about high fees, like, I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do, but I've never paid more than a couple cents to send money to anybody. I think the most I've ever paid is like $1 or $2 in fees to send money. Granted, I don't send much because I keep every motherfucking bit of it I get nowadays, but nonetheless. So, but with that said, I think that's all the main question I have for NFTs. I'm just excited to see it. I was just kind of curious as to hear your thoughts in it. I don't want to keep you too long. I want to respect your time. I really appreciate you coming on and joining us for this. We're really enjoying it. Like I said, we're about, just a little bit, but I think I told you we've done about 25 episodes now. We've just recently started doing it with guests. It was kind of just a show between me and Codations. And I'm really enjoying doing it with, having people on, having different guests on. It's really fun, makes it really interesting, learning about new things and stuff like that. So we really appreciate you taking the time for it. Before we do close though, Codations, do you have any final questions for them about NFTs or even content creation that you might, anything we missed, anything at all?
No, nothing so much for the podcast and everything. I mean, personally, just like a lot of our other guests, if it's cool with you, I mean, I'll add you on like social medias and different things like that, and and reach out from time to time. And just because, I mean, I'm interested in it. I mean, I'm coming from a different world than Derek, and what's actually kind of funny is, he's quite a bit older than me, but yet I'm on the opposite end where I haven't invested in anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm more of a I've got cash stored in my, top drawer where my socks go, you know what I mean? Kind of like mindset, which isn't doing anything for me. You know what I mean? Sure, it's there, you know what I mean? But so I'm interested in getting into that more, and obviously just chatting and, BSing with you, at another time. But yeah, nothing really much to add to this.
Okay. Well, then, in wrapping up, again, Metal, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Before we do go, please, where can the peoples of the interwebs find you? I know you said your Twitch was metal_4, spelled out FOUR _ breakfast. What other platforms are you mainly active? You said YouTube, you got 37,000, but you don't even post shit over there, so there ain't no reason to follow them on YouTube. but for real, what other platforms do you enjoy creating on? What other platforms would you want to have people follow you on?
I say first and foremost would probably be Twitch. Like, definitely trying to grow a community of people there, like actual interactions, actual, like, get to know people and make friends, So, twitch.tv/metal_4 FOR_breakfast. And I also go on Twitter a lot. I use Twitter probably too much. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/MTLFORBRKFST. I could not get the full name, so that's what I ended up.
I will try to remember to link both of these both of the links as well in the description of the podcast. So if you're listening to this and you don't feel like going back and forth 100 times, just look down real quick. You'll probably see it in the description. But again, Metal, thank you so much. Codations, where can the people find you?
As always, codations.com. I've got a website set up. You can get all
as always media. I think you just got it finally set up, dude.
Two podcast episodes out of the 30 we've done. But yeah, no. So codations.com will take you to everything. I mean, I've got a Discord that I run my channel on. I got a YouTube. That's pretty much where I'm at. I've been pretty active on Twitter here recently. Like in the past couple of weeks, I've been trying to really build that up. I've kind of dropped all the other social media platforms. I'm still on them, you can still find me there. But most of it, I don't have anything, current, and some of the stuff is just auto posting from other things. So, but yeah, so codations.com would be the best.
Yep. And for me, guys, as always, OMG, it's Derek.com. Oh my God, it's Derek.com. There are all my links to all my socials. Again, I primarily use Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Twitter's the best platform. Change my mind or don't, because it is, and you'd be wrong. So actually, it's a cesspool over there, and I highly suggest you don't fall down the rabbit hole of Twitter, if I'm actually being honest. Instagram's nicer, but I don't like Instagram. I like Twitter. But yeah, thank you guys as always for tuning in. We appreciate it. We love your faces. Make sure to leave a like on the podcast. That's not a thing. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We have 0. We want a review.
Yeah, we have
there.
0. We have 0
like
reviews. Somebody needs to give us.
fuckers.
Yeah, some of
over
us
there
needs to give
listening.
us a review, man.
Give us
We
a
have 0.
Metal. Go give us a review.
Yeah,
after
is it
this. We
illegal for
need
the
it.
guest to give a review?
No, it's definitely not. Definitely not. You could talk about your awesome experience, how nice our offices are here. When you came to visit, our refreshments were
I
really
thought
nice.
his wall was real.
Exactly.
Production quality through the roof.
Perfect.
All right.
Exactly.
We appreciate it, guys. And until next time, peace out, everybody.
Later.